It's 2:17 in the morning, and I'm in a hardened command bunker somewhere in the western Pacific. I watch the operators as the radar arrays hum and the air defense network scans. Everything on their screens looks clear, but there's a problem. Those screens don't show what they can't detect. Right now, at cruising altitude somewhere above the clouds, something is already past them. It crossed the outer detection ring 11 minutes ago. There was no warning tone, no scramble alert, and no intercept vector calculated. The radar operators have no idea. They won't know until it's too late. And by then, the question won't be how to stop it, but why we ever believed we could. This is the story of the aircraft that didn't just improve American air power, it redefined what air power means. To understand why it exists, I had to understand the problem it was built to solve. For most of the last 3 decades, we held something close to unchallenged air dominance. Our fighters, bombers, and strike packages could reach virtually any target on Earth. Adversaries knew it, and their military planning accounted for it. Then something began to shift. Starting in the late 90s and accelerating through the 2000s and 2010s, I watched Russia and China invest heavily in anti-access area denial. The concept is straightforward. If you can't match an adversary in the air, you make the air so dangerous they can't use it effectively. They're real, and they're serious. Russia deployed the S-400, a long-range high-altitude system capable of tracking multiple targets at ranges that make comfortable standoff distances impossible. China followed, procured similar technology, and began integrating everything into dense, overlapping networks. These grids weren't designed just to shoot down aircraft. They were designed to make entire regions effectively no-fly zones. Add early warning radar, over-the-horizon arrays, and mobile launchers that relocate before a counterstrike arrives, and you begin to see the scale of the problem. Our older platforms weren't designed for this environment. The B-52 first flew in 1952. It's been modernized and remains powerful in permissive skies, but send it into a sophisticated integrated air defense system, and you're not conducting a strike mission, you're conducting a very expensive rescue operation. Even the B-1 Lancer, faster and lower profile, carries a radar cross-section modern detection, can track at distance. Its era of deep penetration has largely passed. That left one aircraft capable of punching through a denied environment, the B-2 Spirit. The B-2 is a remarkable machine. Its flying wing design and radar-absorbent materials gave it a stealth profile that changed how the world thought about strategic bombing. It can carry conventional and nuclear weapons deep into defended airspace and strike targets that would be suicidal for any other platform. But we built only 21 of them. 21. For the world's largest air force, 21 penetrating bombers was never sufficient, especially when those aircraft are aging, maintenance-intensive, and increasingly stressed by a threat environment they were designed to handle at Cold War densities, not the layered networks we face now. The math was becoming uncomfortable. If a peer conflict erupted in the Pacific, we would need to strike hardened, defended targets at range, quickly, and in volume. The existing penetrating bomber force couldn't credibly do that alone. Something new had to be built, not an upgrade or modification, but a replacement. In December 22, Northrop Grumman and the Air Force unveiled the B-21 Raider to the public for the first time. The reaction from casual observers was, to put it mildly, underwhelming. When I watched the ceremony footage, I thought I was looking at a B-2. It was a flying wing with smooth surfaces, a dark gray finish, and no vertical tail. I could be forgiven for thinking someone had simply reparked an older aircraft on the tarmac. That reaction tells me something important about how the B-21 was designed. The B-2 felt revolutionary to me when it first appeared because nothing looked like it. The B-21 does not announce itself the same way. It looks like a refinement because it is a refinement. But refinement in stealth is not incremental progress. I know that at the margins of radar detection, small improvements in geometry, materials, and signature management translate into enormous differences in survivability. I understand the B-21 has a radar cross-section significantly smaller than the B-2. To me, that means at the distances where air defenses normally begin tracking an incoming bomber, the Raider may simply not appear. I might see it as atmospheric noise, a bird, or nothing at all. To me, the stealth signature is only part of the story. I learned this aircraft was built from inception as an open architecture platform. I was told its mission systems, communications, and sensor integration were all designed to accept upgrades as threats change, without requiring a fundamental redesign of the airframe. I know the B-2, built in a closed architecture era, has been enormously difficult and expensive to modernize. I see that the B-21 was designed to avoid that problem from day one. I learned it was also designed with autonomous operations in mind. I can't say exactly how much autonomy because that is classified, but I understand its architecture allows for optionally crewed flight, meaning future variants could operate without a human pilot aboard. Then there is the production plan, and this is where I begin to see the strategic intent. I know the Air Force has stated requirements for at least 100 aircraft. Some analyses I have seen suggest the eventual fleet could reach 145 or more. That compares to only 21 B-2s. My read is, the intent is not to build a handful of exquisite, ultra-rare platforms that exist primarily as deterrent symbols. I take the intent to be to field a force, a meaningful, deployable, scalable, penetrating bomber fleet capable of simultaneous operations across multiple theaters. To me, one aircraft is a capability demonstration. 100 aircraft are a strategy. Imagine with me a realistic high-end conflict scenario. I imagine it taking place in the Western Pacific. I see a crisis that has escalated past diplomacy. I am told American commanders have been tasked with striking a set of hardened military targets. Those targets include command infrastructure, hardened aircraft shelters, missile storage facilities, and early warning radar installations deep inside heavily defended territory. I know the air defense network protecting those targets has been years in the making. It is layered. Long-range systems handle high-altitude threats at distance. Medium-range systems fill the gaps. Short-range point defense weapons protect the critical nodes. The whole network is integrated, so when one radar detects something, every launcher in the grid knows about it within seconds. Against a conventional strike package, I know this network would extract a serious price. Against the B-21, the math changes fundamentally. The aircraft does not try to suppress the network before entering it. It does not launch standoff weapons from a safe distance and hope for coverage. It flies into the defended zone, and the defended zone, for the most part, does not know it is there. The early warning radar arrays are scanning. Their returns come back clean. There are no contacts, no threats, and no alert status changes. Inside that aircraft, I imagine the crew tracking every known emitter in the network below. They are passively collecting, mapping, and building a picture of the threat environment without transmitting anything that could reveal their position. And then it strikes. Not just one target. I see multiple targets engaged, sequenced in a single pass or across coordinated waves if multiple aircraft are deployed. The weapons release. The aircraft continues on. Below, the network suddenly processes what just happened, but the contact that delivered the strike remains invisible. There is no direction to run and intercept toward, no track to hand off, and nothing to chase. Air defense operators calibrate their confidence around the assumption that their systems will provide warning. Warning enables reaction. Reaction enables survival of assets of leadership and of the network itself. When that warning does not come, and things simply begin exploding without any prior indication of an incoming threat, the entire decision-making process breaks down. Where is it coming from? Is it one aircraft or many? Are there more strikes inbound? Do we keep the radar active and risk being targeted by anti-radiation missiles, or do we shut it down and lose situational awareness? This is what strategists mean when they talk about the psychological dimension of stealth. It is not just that the aircraft is hard to shoot down. Its presence or suspected presence degrades the coherence of the entire defense system. Operators become hesitant. Commanders become uncertain. The network that was designed to function with precision and speed begins to slow because nobody is sure what is real and what is not. Now scale that to a force of 100 aircraft. An adversary facing that cannot simply build more air defenses and solve the problem. Every node they deploy is a potential target. Every radar they activate is a potential beacon. The sheer volume of aircraft, each invisible, and each capable of carrying precision munitions to hardened targets, means that no single defensive system, no matter how sophisticated, provides a reliable answer. It forces an adversary to ask a question they would rather not have to answer. Is there any target we have that this aircraft cannot reach? What does this aircraft mean beyond a single conflict scenario? The first consequence is nuclear deterrence. The fundamental logic of nuclear deterrence depends on second strike credibility. An adversary must believe that even if they strike first, their own territory will not be safe from retaliation. A penetrating bomber force that can reach hardened, defended targets without reliable interception reinforces that second strike capability. It tells any adversary considering a nuclear exchange that there is no defensive architecture they can build that guarantees their leadership survives. That is not a threat. That is math. And math in nuclear strategy is stabilizing. The second consequence is conventional deterrence. The existence of a credible, large-scale, conventional penetrating strike force changes what adversaries must plan for. Every target they consider fortifying exists under the shadow of an aircraft that may reach it anyway. That changes investment calculations. It changes how aggressively they might move against American allies and partners, knowing that a deep, precise, largely unstoppable conventional response is a real possibility. The third consequence is competitive pressure. Russia and China have both observed this program closely. Both have responded with efforts to develop lower observable platforms, more advanced radar systems, and new intercept technologies. China's AH-20 stealth bomber program, still in development, is in part a direct response to American stealth capability. Russia has invested in counter-stealth radar research, attempting to exploit certain wavelengths less affected by conventional stealth coatings. The B-21 has not closed an arms race. In some respects, it has accelerated one specifically in the domain of advanced aircraft low observable technology and the sensor systems designed to counter them. And the fourth consequence is alliance credibility. American security guarantees to allies in Asia and Europe are only as credible as the military capability backing them. An adversary that doubts whether the United States can actually strike defended targets deep inside hostile territory will discount those guarantees accordingly. A genuine, scalable, penetrating bomber fleet reinforces the credibility of extended deterrence. It is not about aggression, it is about math again. The B-21 as it exists today is the first version of what this platform will become. The open architecture design ensures its mission systems will evolve with the threat. New electronic warfare suites, enhanced sensor fusion, autonomous wingman integration, the concept of a crewed raider leading formations of uncrewed platforms, multiplying coverage and strike capacity without multiplying pilot risk. Much of what the aircraft can actually do remains classified. What has been confirmed is that it was designed from day one to carry both conventional and nuclear munitions, and to accept weapon systems not yet fully developed. It was built not just for the threats of today, it was built for threats that don't fully exist yet. Whether that succeeds depends on how quickly adversaries adapt, how well the program executes on its production commitments, and how the broader technology landscape shifts over the next 20 years. None of that is certain. But here is what is certain. When that radar operator at 2:17 in the morning stares at a clean screen, no contacts, no warnings, no threats, they cannot know what that emptiness actually means. They cannot know if the sky above them is genuinely empty, or if something is already past them, already tracking, already positioned. That uncertainty is not a flaw in their system. It is the system. And it was built on purpose, at enormous cost, over many years, to ensure that anyone who might someday threaten American interests has to live with that same uncertainty, every hour of every day. Whether the raider is in the air or not,